Hey, what's up? It's John from Dowie Farm. Just want to go over a quick mold video, follow up on my mold video, and what happened. It looks like what happened here was, hang on, let me, ooh, yeah, funky, was that I had mixed my soil wrong, and let me get off the lights here. Mixed my soil wrong. I mixed it a little rich, and if you watch my other video on mixing soil, I do half perlite, half it's a soil building compost is what it is, but it's not a straight compost soil. But anyway, sorry, it's late once again, so I'm a little out of it. But so I mixed that soil wrong. I mixed it probably 70-30 because I had an extra bag of soil that was open, and I didn't want to throw off the ratio of a different blend, so I kind of just threw it in there. Thought I could get away with it, but maybe that with a combination of some lower temps and whatever did it for me. But what happens is, if you watch the other videos, blend the soil 50-50, and then when I plant, I mix it, or when I plant, I spray it really, really, really heavy, and I just saturate it. So if I mix it wrong and I saturate it, it just gets anaerobic and it molds. I had a lot of comments about maybe it's the water and stuff, and I thought about all these things. I was like, maybe it was the water, it could be seeds, could be the temperatures, probably not airflow because we're talking about stacked microgreens here. But what I ended up figuring out, because I had that entire planting that went poorly, not the entire planting, the first 10 flats probably were the previous batch of soil, right? And that went badly. Then I had the rest of that planting, or they went fine, sorry, the previous batch went fine, the radish and whatnot. And then the next batch was most of that planting, and I lost everything from that one. But that batch of soil was pretty big because it was extra bag, so it carried over into my next planting, okay, which I lost about half of. So that's kind of how I figured it out, was that next planting I lost about half, and then I still saved some of it because it wasn't too crazy moldy. But if you look here, here's some of the stuff that I saved. This is from the next planting, not the first one that I tossed. But if you look, I got a hole in the middle, and I got a little bit of, it's not even fuzzy. It just died, a lot of it. But this is purple cabbage and some kohlrabi. That's not the same one. Mostly the purple cabbage. But like if you look at this one did pretty good. But I had some through this planting where I got to the top, and they were fine. So that second one, not the first. The first one I lost everything, including my toppers, which my herbs and whatnot. But the second one I only lost about half, and that's how I figured it out. Was I kind of had that hunch anyway, because I was going through my head thinking, what did I do wrong? What did I change? Did I change anything? What's different? I thought about the temperature thing, and I decided to adjust my thermostat, which I hadn't adjusted for the temperature changes yet. So it's probably I guess that's like a little bit of a bright spot of the problem, was because it spurred me to remember to do that, So anyway, I did figure it out. It wasn't water, it wasn't anything like that. I had a lot of suggestions, thank you for that. But I definitely, I know what it was now. So anyway, that's what happened, and as you can see from the flat I showed you, I saved a little. I'll be harvesting that stuff tomorrow, so, and it's fine, it's the rest, the stuff that looks good on the flat is solid, and it's funny because it's all in the middle, so the edges obviously got a little more aeration or whatnot, and or whatever, so the middle of the flat is what the problem was. Anyway, that's what I had happen. So that's my mold rot. I shouldn't call it mold, really, like that sounds bad, but just dead, seed plant video, but anyway, if you think about when you have a crop failure like that, you got to go through every single step and think about it. You got to consider your seed, you got to consider your temperatures, your airflow, your watering rates, your soil, your batch of soil, like everything. It's all happened to me at some point in the beginning, especially until you start really getting controls on everything. Like I have the people I buy my soil from, they keep that indoors dry. They were keeping it outdoors wet, and that was screwing me up for a while until I figured that out. I'm glad to find out it wasn't not sanitizing my trays that I stopped doing like 6 months ago. My trays are clean, they just have dirt on them. So they're clean in dirt land, right? But it's always stressed pretty hard, and I haven't done it in 6 months really, unless I have a problem with one, and then I'll sanitize that one. But I harvest, I empty the dirt right away into a bin, and then I leave it out uncovered so I don't stack them right away to air dry. That way I don't have to go and scrub and bleach and, you know, every single time. The logistics in this space just didn't work for that. So anyway, that's what I got. I did bleach up my planting table that day. I did set aside the trays that I had the problem with because I didn't know what the problem was in the beginning. And I did sanitize my soil bin where I mixed my soil and my scoop. So that was all initial reaction stuff until I really figured out what the problem was. And then when I figured out the problem was, I stopped sanitizing stuff because what a pain in the ass. Anyway, and none of the stuff made it into my watering system. So like even that stuff that I showed you, I kept it out of the system. I've been spraying it with the hose. So, and on the water thing that's interesting is I use a filter on my hose, you know, to filter out chlorine, but because I'm on town water supply here. But I don't use that to fill up my reservoirs really, like or all the time, you know, and like I started thinking about all the water I use for a lot of this stuff, and I don't, you know, always filter out the chlorine, and it has no effect. So I think that might be a little bit overblown, to be honest with you. I think a lot of things get overblown in this world as far as that kind of stuff goes, like the sanitizing your trays every time with bleach. Like that's a little excessive, a little crazy. I know a lot of people do it. I decided to try to not do it, and it seems to be going fine. So, okay, you know, the chlorine thing in the beginning, I took a lot of precautions. I find some places where I'm not really doing that, and they seem to be doing fine. So, I don't know, like maybe some of this stuff's a little overhyped. But hey man, whatever works for you. Thanks for watching. It's John from Dowie Farm. Take it easy.